we've seen other drivers doing the same thing. I think that is a conscious thing that the drivers do, depending on the top balance they have. Seven has been tricky for a lot of people yesterday. They're getting a lot of power surges as well on the way out. But the Mercedes power unit, I think, delivering great torque and a linear power delivery, so the drivers aren't struggling. Just use the curve on the left as a reference. You can see George is at the end of that curve, Lando slightly behind as we get to turn 9. So in the first half of the lap, it's actually Russell who's ahead. But Lando gets a great run through 9, and I think maybe slightly different deployment down the back straight, but it carries coming out of turn 9. So by the time we get to the 50-meter board, at the end of the back straight, Lando is now equal. If anything, you can see he's slightly ahead. He's gone past the board. George is still there. So it's that one corner has allowed him to pull it back. The high-speed balance of the McLaren, very, very important for turn 9. Now the last sector. Just watch the drivers struggling here because the rear tires are melting at this stage. They're way out of the window. They're just having to just balance the steering wheel and try and hang on to it. You look at that curve on the left. Lando's pulled a little bit more even through that left-hander of 10. 12, both drivers struggling for grip, struggling to get the front to rotate and then put the power down. And as we get to the final couple of corners, there's a huge amount of speed that needs to be carried through. And I have to say, once again, the McLaren just looks a little bit more comfortable. I thought that George seemed to be struggling a bit more with the front left tyre, perhaps at that stage. And we'll see, because today, already at this time of the day, it's even hotter than yesterday.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, George Russell will be desperate for a very strong weekend to turn round the issues that he's had. He's had a lot of bad luck. But is anyone else in this fight? Ferrari, what are their chances, do you think?
Ferrari looked okay on the longer runs. Max's times at Red Bull looked okay, but what I saw out on track in free practice too, he was struggling more than Mercedes and McLaren, for example. We know Lewis was experienced a few issues on his car setup too yesterday, so they've had overnight to sort it out. Some drivers, of course, missed free practice 1 because the rookies get some chances. So this is a really super important session coming up now.
Yeah, Dino Bogdanovic stepping in for Lewis there, as we can see him on the pit wall. I mean, we mentioned it yesterday. He does know this track so well, but he's trying to learn and understand this car at this track. So missing an hour of practice wouldn't have been a welcomed suggestion.
No, there were 7 rookies in the free practice 1, so 7 drivers missed out. But each driver has that to face through the year, and this is an obvious one to do it. Track a bit dirty, everybody knows it so well. But at the level of excellence that we have, as you have in golf and tennis, whatever, they don't need time to get used to a track. If it takes you more than 10 laps to learn a brand new track, you're in the wrong business, let alone a track that they've done literally thousands of laps around.
Well, of course, Lewis got his second place finish in Monaco. This is a very different proposition for him, though. I mean, how well will he fare here? How much is he focusing on himself and his car? And indeed, his teammate have real problems, not least with the brake issues in Monaco. And he's perhaps making a switch to Lewis's setup on that.
Yes, the brakes are so critical. It must be like your favourite tennis racket or your favourite putter. Somehow your brake, how your brakes react, how the pedal feels, how the initial braking at the end of the big stops, and it's such a personal thing as a driver. And Charles has moved on to a different brake called Carbon Industry. So we'll see what that does. But they'll have done a lot of work overnight. I expect everybody to have had a decent reset, thank you.
A few surprises in the Monaco points, given the amount of retirements there were. Can we see the same here?
I think this is a more normalised track, isn't it? But we're very early into these 2026 power units still. So, McLaren had to break the curfew last night to do some changes to both cars, for example, just as a preventative thing. So, whilst it all looks probably quite serene on the surface, all of the teams are still managing down reliability issues on this, what is essentially the biggest change in the history of Formula 1 in 2026.
Now that is the second time McLaren have broken their curfew yesterday. They get 4 opportunities to do just that, so no penalty just yet. Well, let's tell you the timings then for the rest of the weekend. Third and final practice up next, and then we've got qualifying at 2:15 this afternoon, and then tomorrow We're on air at 12:30 with a race start of 2 o'clock. Okay, let's head up to commentary then with Karun Chandok and Harry Benjamin. Take it away.
After a very busy Friday's running, we're back for Saturday action in Spain. Ahead of the Barcelona Catalunya Grand Prix, our second European round sees us return to a track known as an all-rounder. Gone are the barriers of Monaco. Hello to the gravel and runoff here at the Circuit de Catalunya. It's round 7 and this is a track steeped in history and one all drivers know inside out. Just over 4.6 kilometres, 2.8 miles in length, 14 turns, medium to high speed corners. The overtake protection point just before that final corner. And a remarkable elevation change. It was hot yesterday and that continues into today, having an effect on the tyres as well. Pirelli going one step softer than last year with the C2 hard, the C3 medium and the C4 soft. The heat so much a factor can actually have an impact on qualifying later on this afternoon. But before that, we have one final practice session. Welcome to Free Practice 3. It's Harry Benjamin with you up in commentary. Alongside me once again is Karun Chandok. Last chance then, Karun, for our drivers to get properly dialed in before we go qualifying. Yeah, really important session. The track temperature has been rising throughout the weekend, and today already just walking around, you can feel it. So today it's going to be all about trying to make sure you can keep the rear tyres alive for the final sector of the lap. It does seem like this has become a real limited track for this weekend. In the past, there were lots of concern about the front left tyre, but this weekend, with these extreme temperatures, just speaking to engineers in the paddock, it looks like it's all about protecting the rears for Sector 3.
Well, we could see it yesterday then in Free Practice 2 with Kimi Antonelli on the Mercedes, his front left, literal marbles and rubber breaking off that tyre. Such is the degradation impact. Teams up and down the field struggling with that. Could end up being almost like a one-shot qualifying that we might get later on this afternoon. So with all that in mind then, Karun, with the final practice, what are the drivers going to try and get out of this session?
So this is all about getting prepared for qualifying. It's incredibly important here to qualify well. Statistically, it's more important to qualify well here than it is in Monte Carlo, despite the fact that, as you said, we've got a big wide open track with grass and gravel and not barriers close by. But 32 out of the last 35 winners here have come from the front row of the grid. That's 91% roughly. So, yeah, statistically, as I say, more important than any other track on the F1 calendar.
Yeah, only 3 have not been won from the front row. So that just underlines that excellent stat, Karun. Max Verstappen with all the fans in the grandstand, and of course, I think mainly for the Spaniards out there, though, Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso, each with their own grandstands, feeling the home support. We have been talking a lot about the heat. We actually can't really feel it in the commentary box because we have air conditioning, but I'm pretty sure Ted Kravitz can feel it out in the pit lane. Ted?
Hello, Harry. Hello, Karun. Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome to the pit lane. Sunny in Spain. Who would have thought it, eh? But yeah, listen, you can't feel the heat through television, so take our word for it. But nothing strange, nothing unusual. So I'm here with my friends from the Pit Lane Patrol. And I don't know what you think, Karun, as someone who frequents the pit lane now and again. I quite like that on my tabard, actually. Pit Lane Patrol. Can I get Pit Lane Patrol written on my tabard? I do like that, because I will be patrolling the pit lane, not only today, not only in qualifying, but in the race, because I might be quite a busy person. I think we've set towards the race so far in 2026 with the most pit stops, possibly 3 for each car. And yes, you've been talking about it so far, but the story of the weekend has been so far, OMG, what are we going to do about these tyres? And how are we going to get these tyres under control? And that's the question that all of these teams have been thinking about overnight. They've been sent the message from the track yesterday to the factory, OMG, what are we going to do about these tyres? Not only how are we going to keep them alive over one lap, but more to the point, how are we going to keep them alive over a race distance, whether that's a 2-stop pushing to a 3. They don't really want to do a 3. You do lose a lot of time. But then if you're forced into a 2-stop, then it's all going to be about managing the tyres against somebody potentially on a more aggressive machine. So these tyres, these cars rather, have been set up overnight to look after their tyres like there is no tomorrow. But of course, Harry, there is a tomorrow. It's called the Barcelona Catalunya Grand Prix. And who looks after those tyres the best will win. And it might not be a Mercedes. It might be a McLaren who looks after their tyres the best. Historically, this car has shown that it does. It is kind on its tyres. So that might give Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri even more optimism for tomorrow.
Well, it was Lando Norris who topped one of the sessions yesterday for McLaren. He said a few races ago that Barcelona could be the real turning point for McLaren's season.
It's quite funny, isn't it? We're into round 7. It's not that far into the season. And we've already stopped talking about energy and battery and all that sort of stuff. We're back to talking about tyres in a free practice session. How quickly does the world of Formula One move on?
Throw some brake chat in there, and we've got the whole trifecta. I mean, talk off McLaren as well. They actually broke the curfew last night using their 2nd of 4 curfew that's allowed before they get a penalty, replacing key permissible components to help improve the robustness of the installation and integration of the power unit on both cars. So some precautionary power units checks there, because they have had a few power unit issues over the course of this season. Mercedes supplying their power units and not wanting to be scuppered by any reliability issues going into this weekend further.
See, Fernando Alonso, the home hero, getting ready. Lewis Hamilton in the car. Don't be surprised to see lots of these people waiting to come out. Red Bull traditionally wait 26, 27 minutes, don't they? Unsurprisingly, to me, Cadillac have gone out early because they are the team that need to learn the most. They're a brand new team, of course, in Formula One. Their first ever Grand Prix here, despite the fact there's a track where they have tested at before, of course.
But that's why we say so much about all the drivers and teams knowing the place like the back of their hands. Always, for a long time, pre-season testing, held him in the shakedown test right at the start of the year, which not all the team made, but certainly all the drivers throughout the junior categories as well, racing this circuit. Valtteri Bottas being one of them, who we can see in the Cadillac right now, one-time pole sitter around this track, and actually had a good day yesterday. It was almost a second clear of his teammate Sergio Perez after what's been actually a bit of a trying season for him compared to Perez, who's rather had the competitive prowess over his Finnish teammate. As Bottas completes his first lap out there on the soft tyre, but Bottas getting some crucial running in along with his teammate, who's just behind him on the start-finish straight.
It looked like the car was dragging on the ground a little bit more, wasn't it? Bottas's car. You see him coming as the car loaded up through 13. It did feel like it was dragging along the ground a bit more than some others.
All smiles from Max Verstappen there. Obviously, we had 7 drivers scheduled to take part in FP1 in terms of rookies. So a lot of drivers missed out, including Max Verstappen. Isaac Hadjar was on a missed out. And then we also had Kimi Antonelli missing out, our championship leader. How much does missing an FP1 session put you on the back foot for a weekend?
I think on a normal... I say normal. What's normal these days? I think in previous years, probably not a lot. I think this year, because we're in year 1 of the rule cycle, there's so much evolution going on with the cars. Every week that the drivers get in the cars, the teams have added more performance. They've learned more about the systems and the electronics. There's lots changing every time you get behind the wheel of the car. So missing a session of effectively testing, right, before qualifying, I think does hamper you a bit more. And I think we saw a little bit of that with Kimi Antonelli yesterday. He, in recent form, has been ahead of George. He's been ahead of everybody, frankly. But in FP2, he looked like it was just a bit scrappier. It looked harder for him to deliver a lap time. And I think there's an element of not having done FP1 to get warmed up.
Yeah, he was about half a second adrift of Lando Norris's quickest time at the end of FP2 was Kimi down in fifth. Norris only just 9,000ths of a second clear of the other Mercedes of George Russell, who was in need of a good weekend. We're looking at the moment at the Williams garage, or we were, not much action going down there, but Oliver Behrman over at Haas looks like he's about to get into the car with the hands device and headrest going on, clipping onto his helmets. They had an actually decent run as well yesterday. Finished just outside the top 10 in FP2. Did the British driver, responsible for 18 of Haas's points so far this season.
Yeah, there was, I think, 6 drivers. It was 5 drivers, wasn't it? Between Hulkenberg and Colapinto, all within 10th in that space, 11 to 15. So Damon right in that fight as well.
Tight in the midfield. What about Charles Leclerc? We get a little peek into his garage and a look at those brakes very briefly. Not been happy for a few races now with his Brembo brakes, and Monaco seemed like the tipping point. Moving this weekend towards Lewis Hamilton's setup, going towards a carbon industry brake, still using Brembo calipers as the surround. And Monaco really was the talk of the town coming into this weekend. And on the Friday, Pierre Gasly there for Alpine, getting his podium in third place.
Yeah, as Gasly there talking to his race engineer, Josh Peckett. Very, very good engineer, Josh. Very practical, very pragmatic. I think this is where people sometimes forget, because we've talked so much about Gasly and the emotions of Gasly losing the podium and getting the podium back. But the race engineers who work closely with him, his mechanics, they go on that same emotional roller coaster of deflation on a Sunday night at back up. And I was very pleased to see the result get overturned for not just Pierre, but for Josh and for the team around Pierre as well.
Yeah, lots of chatter still going on about that as well. But not too much action out on track so far. Just the 2 Cadillacs out there. Valtteri Bottas quickest.
Why ads? What? Ads so early. We're 8 minutes into the session. Jesus. Ads already. Is this how this session's going to go? Flippin' heck. Wow. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Okay. Time to go back to the old tactics, Find the live timing. A good live timing. Can't go wrong with live timing, let me tell you that much. Yeah, if you're enjoying this stream, hit the like button, subscribe. Very much help out. That's if my internet decides to not play up on me. Okay. I think we are good. We are good. We are good. Perfect. Okay. Very nicely done. Got a bit of live timing, Valtteri Bottas making his run up through towards turn 7, turn 8 now, through towards turn 9. At the moment, looks like Carlos Sainz is getting ready to head out on to the circuit. At the moment, the only lap times that have been set of Valtteri Bottas are 119.8. Well, sorry, 119.9. And it's, of course, Sergio Perez sitting in second on a 1 minute 20.1. About a tenth off. Looks like Carlos Sainz is getting ready as well to head out. Welcome in. Aryan, welcome in. Apologies if I have indeed butchered that name. I do tend to butcher a lot of names. I do tend to butcher a lot of names. So apologies if I did butcher that. Yeah, 119.962 fastest time so far. As we look at Valtteri Bottas making his run through towards turn 5, up through towards turn 6. and then through the flick left, then up through the right, through 7, 8, 9. But yeah, at the moment, both Cadillacs out on circuits. And we'll see how that rolls for both of those cars. Just checking if... Nope, no, still had brakes. Typical freaking ad brakes, you know. Don't expect much else. You don't really expect much else. Nico Hulkenberg has made his way now out on to the circuit. He's just been told over the radio the track is clear. Again, we've only got both Cadillacs out on circuit, and the next nearest Cadillac is Sergio Perez. Any predictions about the race and qualifying? That's a good question. To be honest with you, I feel like McLaren have pretty good pace from what we've been seeing so far. I feel like McLaren have pretty good pace, and I feel like they're going to win this race because of their tyres. I feel like they're going to extend longer on their tyres, which is going to give them the upper hand, I feel. I mean, I could be wrong, but that is yet once more a prediction. So I'm going to say McLaren. I'm going to say McLaren will be up there. Mercedes will probably struggle. Will probably struggle. Because again, yeah, they might be quick overall, but do they have the ability to save tyres? I have a feeling probably not. I have a feeling they probably will not be able to save tyres. So we'll see. But also I have a feeling, you'll get the usuals from the last 8 rounds. You'll get Ferrari, and you'll get Red Bull somewhat up there. But yeah, I'm going to say probably Linda up. Over 1 lap, I'm going to say probably Kimi will grab another pole. I sound boring, but I'm going to say Kimi Antonelli will grab another pole. I sound boring in every sense of the word, but I'm going to say Kimi Antonelli will grab a pole here. I have a feeling he has a pretty good crack at doing so.
Discrepancies in the data, and because they wanted to change quite a lot of the parts, it was quicker and easier just to prepare a new chassis than replace the individual components. So that's why they put Pierre in a new chassis. So hopefully that will be good for him. I have a what's happening with his Monaco third place trophy update for you.
What's happening with this Monaco third place trophy, Ted?
It's still not here, and so they yesterday I had this image that there'll be somebody from Red Bull Racing with a big Louis Vuitton box with the trophy in it, going from Stansted or Luton to Barcelona, on a budget airline. Maybe they had to buy the trophy its own seat because they didn't want to put it in the hold. Well, apparently that hasn't happened, and the trophy is not at the circuit today. That's the update from Alpine. So Steve Nielsen was very keen to get it, wasn't he? I loved it when he said yesterday, Karun.
I have to agree with you on that one, actually. I have to agree with you. Yeah, Mercedes are good in a straight line. I mean, all Mercedes cars are good in a straight line. So yeah, I'd probably agree with you on that one. Yeah, I reckon McLaren definitely have a chance to knock cars like Ferrari off the podium. I have a feeling. So yeah, funnily enough, on this date, Jody Scheckter. I'm not even going to
friendly.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, because I will butcher that. I can already tell I will butcher that. But yeah, I like the prediction. I like it. I'm going to still say McLaren will be up there and probably fighting for a win as well. Yeah, I reckon they'll probably be fighting for a win, mainly because I feel like they're going to do one less stop than everyone. If of course they can save their tyres well enough. We'll see.
Nick Hadjar stood on the podium in Monte Carlo, but that's been reversed, and now Pierre Gasly gets that trophy.
but it might not be the last we hear of it either, as we understand Red Bull and McLaren have issued a notice of intention to appeal that outcome, and they still are within the 96 hours. They need to decide whether to press ahead with the actual appeal, but obviously Red Bull not happy at losing a podium from Isaac Hadjar, but also on the other side, not listed, but Mercedes, the biggest losers really from that weekend on George Russell's side of the garage, serving the penalty and falling well outside the points and picking up absolutely nothing. But he could have been on for a podium, maybe even a 4th or 5th place. Either way, he would have bagged some points, and he wouldn't be sitting 68 points adrift of his teammate at this stage of the championship.
Yeah, sadly, I just don't see how they're going to get anything out of it. I mean, it's worth having a go. And in hindsight, obviously they shouldn't have served it in the race and tried to argue the toss afterwards. But hindsight's 2020, and unfortunately, in the moment, they made a decision which you can understand why they did. That's cost George quite heavily, that hasn't it?
Isaac Hadjar looks like he's in the zone. And all the Carlos Sainz fans ready to see him out on track, yet to step out on track. Still, only 3 cars have ventured out into the circuit and done any kind of lappage. Nico Hulkenberg, the quickest of them, with a 1:18.4 on the medium tyre in his Audi. Then Bottas and Perez. But it feels imminent that we're going to get some track action. Everyone's standing by, ready and waiting. They don't want to use up too many of their tyres in this session.
Yeah, they just want to be careful about the mileage they do, because the tyres are not lasting for very many laps. So you can't just go pounding around and around. You can get a bit lost as well, because you have to be careful with what the objective of this session is. The objective of the session is to get the car set up in the right performance window for qualifying in the race. After this, they go to Parc Fermé. There's very little to change. Now, if you start riding around on tyres that are wearing, falling apart, and you start changing things too much, then when you put the new tyres on for qualifying, and we just talked about how important qualifying is, you might have just taken a setup in the wrong direction for qualifying. So that's why they don't want to get a bit too lost in the setup of it. They want to just make sure they remember the big picture, which is get the high speed and high performance runs done at the end of the session.
Practice start for Nico Hulkenberg, and the big turbo at the back of that Audi, making his way back out on track. Had a brilliant result here last year, didn't he, Hulkenberg, in the Sauber? 5th place, overtaking a Ferrari at the end. There was a big tyre disparity there, but big points haul for Sauber, who needed it then. Now Audi, and in 6 rounds, now in our 7th, Hulkenberg still searching for his first points.
Yeah, I mean, Audi arrived looking very strong. I think they got a point.
They impressed a lot of people.
Yeah, got a point early on with Bortoleto, and but since then there's been a bunch of reliability things. I think the car has a decent speed as a midfield car. We've seen on several occasions that Hulkenberg managed to qualify around the top 10. 11 seems to be a very popular spot for him. So the car's got some speed about it. They just need to convert that into points.
And out on track though, just the one Audi, no Danny Bortoleto yet, still in his pit box. Ted.
Thank you very much, Harry. Yes, I know I promised that there'll be more cars coming out, and now they are coming out. Interestingly, we see a Haas leading on the soft tyres. I was also interested, of course, that Max Verstappen used one of his hard sets of tyres yesterday, didn't he? So that's going to have, what kind of impact is that going to have on the selection? He wasn't very happy with them, as I remember. But yeah, anyway, I think they might have to use the hard tyres come later in the weekend. Mark Stroll also going out on the soft tyres, indicating they might not be the favoured ones for the rest of the weekend, save the moments in Q3. But just wanted to bring you down as we were looking at the Audi on track. For the, can we award a new prize for commitment to your pit infrastructure, no matter how relevant it is, with the fully lit box? I mean, this is one of the hottest days we've had all season, and certainly under the Barcelona sun, the most brightest day, one of the most brightest we've had all season. And yet Audi's commitment to their illuminated pit box continues. I know Formula One in 2026 is all about the best use of energy. You'll have your own views on whether this is the best use of energy, but they're persisting with the lights. Yeah. I mean, you might as well. I guess there's a moment here where you might want an already well-lit pit lane to be even more well-lit with the lights around their pit gantry. But well done, Audi. You're certainly committing to something. When you start it, you're going to commit to it. The lights are still on, even under the blistering Barcelona sun.
Oh, we're going to have a look at their electricity bill. Then bring all the stops to the pit lane, see if it gives them any kind of advantage when it comes to their pit stops. Here we go. Few more cars out on track, a little bit more action as we're having a look at Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin, now with one precious point to his name off the back of Monaco. But we talk a lot about this track being an all-rounder track, and that's because it's got a mixture of those medium, high-speed corners, which expose the weaknesses that you have in a Formula One car.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got corners like there, 7 and 8, as he goes past his adoring fans at the Fernando Alonso grandstand, gives him a nice slow dive past and wave. They're out in force, aren't they? To see if he can drag himself out of Q1 on this occasion. He's pretty open about it, Fernando, isn't he? He says, if we make it out of Q1, it'll be a miracle. I heard him say on one of the interviews on the weekend. But still, so popular with the crowd here.
You can hear the applause from around the grandstands, really. And for Alonso, still his last win in Formula One at this track back in 2013. Seems like a lifetime ago now. Then in red, now very much in green, and no upgrades due on that car, we're told, for at least a few more races, no significant ones at the very least, as he heads down to turn 1 and starts to carve his way through and up the hill around turn 3.
Yeah, had a snap coming out of turn 2, and that put him well offline for the entry of 3. I think he's bailed out of it, actually, because that compromised him straight away. So he's bailed out of this lap quite early on. And let's see, who else is out there?
Norris is on a good lap, and it's quick in sector 1.
Yes, Bortoletto on a lap as well. I think at the moment he's on a good middle sector. But yeah, Norris is on. He's gone a bit earlier, hasn't he? Because Piastri is still in the pits. So Lando out on a set of the soft tyres, and he's really the first of the heavy hitters. We're seeing the Ferraris waiting. Leclerc is on track now, but Hamilton's sitting there waiting. Mercedes are waiting. Verstappen and Hadjar are waiting. Piastri waiting. So yeah, just Norris going to set the early benchmark.
Managed to get a few long runs in yesterday, and still a little bit on offset. Some doing it on the soft, others doing it on the medium. George Russell, though, looked very quick on the soft tyre over a long run distance, whereas you look at the two Ferraris, Charles Leclerc, a little further back behind the two Mercedes who looked quickest. Here is Charles Leclerc coming into turn 1 now, trying to get used to his new brakes. Carbon Industry told a little bit more bite they provide, a bit more instant purchase as he heads down towards 4. Bit of traffic in front of him, gets nicely out of the way, going well in the first sector. Norris came across the line and went fastest, the 1:16.6 on his first run on the soft tyres. We'll see what Leclerc can do. Personal best for him in sector 1. And I think just taking it a little easier than he normally would here through turn 8. We're seeing so many cars, certainly yesterday, have that little bit of a snap. Perhaps an unexpected bit of electrical power for some, but Leclerc controls it nicely and looking smooth, to be fair, and fastest of anybody in the middle sector, but just struggling through 10.
Yeah, when he got the apex of 10, the rear of the car wasn't with him there. Then you just watch his hands. Lots of micro corrections all the way around on 12. Let's listen in. Quite a big lift still for the final corner, isn't it? As he goes past the Aston Martin, does go second fastest, but feels like
he hasn't topped Norris there. Anyway.
16.6, just for your comparison to yesterday.
He hasn't topped Norris there. Again, there's 35 minutes to go, so I don't know. We'll see. But he hasn't topped Norris on his first soft tyre run, which is a bit concerning.
much more settled this weekend, it seems. Actually, was good in Monaco.
And that's over one run. It's a bit concerning.
He's not quite been there, in my opinion. Hasn't had the best of luck with technical issues, not starting a couple of races. Obviously, had that disaster at the start back in Australia. But after fighting for the championship last year, certainly wanting the support to try and keep charge this year, but McLaren's still a way off. But brake issues yesterday, still managing to set quick lap times on both cars, not putting them off as he starts a lap around this Barcelona circuit.
Let's take a look as he drops downhill there, slides the 50-meter board and chucks it in through that first apex. Before you go left, uses plenty of width on the way out. We're seeing different drivers using different lines there, and let's try to find the right compromise to get as quick as possible through turn 3. Yesterday, I have to say, George Russell was the one who was very strong at turn 3 compared to the two McLarens. Piastri gets through the traffic nicely and is a little bit down in sector 1, nearly 2 tenths down on his teammates' time as we get him down in the middle sector. 8 to 7, and looks pretty calm and tame, doesn't it? It doesn't look like this is an all-out attacking lap for Oscar Piastri. So this is an early run to just try and get a read on what the car's balance is. Half a second down on Lando Norris. Has he saved a bit of grip? Has he tried to just manage it a bit more in the first part of the lap to attack the final sector? Because we saw it yesterday, Harry, at this corner on his push lap, have a massive snap of oversteer, and that cost him a little bit of time. And the last corner, he was a bit down on Lando, so comes up to the line and does actually lose a bit more time. So
16.
yeah, a bit off today so far.
I reckon most of that time was lost at turn 9. I have a feeling.
This will be interesting though, won't it? Because if he has just saved a little bit, wanting to get dialed in for one lap, how much, with all the heat that we're experiencing, the tyres will allow him to go for another push lap. So it'll be quite telling come qualifying if they are able to get one warm-up lap and one push lap out of those soft tyres.
This would be interesting to see with Max Verstappen, because he was not happy yesterday. He was you can hear some of his comments on the radio. He was really not happy with the way the car was working. They were a long way off the pace, nearly 9/10. So as we watch Verstappen, though, I believe we've got James Vowles on the pit wall, on the Williams pit wall. So James, how is?
My current time at Formake was terrific.
What's that, James?
At all. I think we saw the same.
Yeah, just a little bit of Oscar Piastri team radio there, James. Tell us how your day started. It started in not the best fashion yesterday. Have you heard a better start Saturday here in Barcelona?
It's slightly better, but not the level we need to be doing it.
And can you put a bit more meat on the bone when you talk about Carlos Sainz was talking about very high degradation on the longer runs? Yesterday, obviously, we're still doing short runs now, but what's the feedback from Carlos so far?
It's mainly this. We were sliding the tyre too much in high speed here. The track temp now is 50 degrees, so as soon as you start doing that, it just goes into a spiral. It's hard to get back. So it's better on a short run than it is on a long run. We've made some changes to get it more balanced between the front and the rear axle, but I think we're tweaking in a very small region.
Hi, James. Harry here in the commentary box. Is this a bit of a surprise coming into this weekend? Were you expecting it to feel better, or were you almost thinking, well, we might struggle?
No, sadly, this was one of the ones we highlighted as a track that we have not got the car we need for around here. It's a good test of a car. I got some pit start right there again.
And based on what we've seen so far, I mean, everybody's struggling out there with degradation. Spain has always been, or Barcelona has always been, a two-stop race. Are you thinking it's going to trickle over that, certainly for you guys, but in general, turn to more of a three-stop on Sunday?
It's not impossible, but there won't be enough good tyres to make it work. So I think you're going to see a lot of people holding on.
Lando Norris, 1:16.6. He's 700ths faster than Leclerc. Then it's Verstappen, Piastri, Lindblad, Hadjar.
Okay, thanks.
Russell now goes to the top on a 1:16.2. Antonelli with the fastest second sector, 30.7 through the second sector. He's up on his teammate. Now, this is going to be quite interesting here as we continue on with these qualifying runs. Kimi Antonelli now making his run through towards turn 14 and out the other side. What does Kimi do? Only second, but 0.2 of a second off, and that's over one lap. Now, possibly here, look, is Kimi using a bit more of the tyre than what Russell is? Maybe a bit more sliding, micro sliding going on there from Kimi. We'll have to wait and find out. But a 116.2, of course, 2023 pole was 112.2. It was an 11 in 2025. Big slide there from Lewis Hamilton. So continuously they're struggling with that Ferrari. Back down to James Vowles.
Management.
I think ultimately it's always our car that's the limiting factor for all teams. The tyres are what they are, but you're right. This is where we're going to see big degradation, but we haven't seen that all year so far.
James Vowles, Williams team principal, on the pit wall for us across the weekend. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck for the rest of this session and the weekend. Corinne, it sounds like tough times down there for Williams.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this is a track where if you haven't got downforce and if you've got a car that's a bit overweight, both characteristics of the Williams at the moment, you're going to struggle. You got a lot of corners where you got to carry a lot of lateral load. You got things like turn 7. You got sort of pendulum effect. If you're carrying an extra 10, 15, 20, whatever kilos it is, you got a big change in terms of the load you're putting in the tyre compared to someone else who's on the weight limit.
Well, while Williams continue to try and figure out what's going on with their car this weekend, Lewis Hamilton, who we join now on a lap, hasn't actually put a competitive lap time on the board yet, but here he comes now.
He had a very late downshift, Lewis, at turn 9, almost at the exit of the corner. So as if he went into it thinking he'd carry a bit more speed, then it didn't work out and had to go down a gear almost at the exit curve, which is a bit unusual. But yeah, his sectors at the moment, not particularly brilliant. Comes across the line half a second down on Charles Leclerc. Yesterday as well, Lewis was a bit off, wasn't he? He on the short runs and the quali runs, he was sort of 8 tenths away from Leclerc's time yesterday.
Yeah, based on the FP2 long run that I have, from the top runners, he was the slowest on the medium tyre. So again, one of the drivers to have missed out in free practice 1 in a weekend where Ferrari had brought a huge haul of upgrades to the front wing, the floor, the diffuser, and the side pods. And as we see Charles Leclerc now embarking on that, we can get a bit of a direct comparison, both on the soft tyre, but Leclerc up there in 4th at the moment.
Yeah, Leclerc's obviously already done a lap on this tyre. Lewis getting out of the way there, so this is his second bite of the cherry. You can already see a little bit of a band opening up on the front tyre. Look at the middle of the tyre. It's just pick up. But there's a darker band already on that front right tyre of that Ferrari. He's got no traffic ahead of him, so he should get a nice clean run through turn 9 there. Little correction up at the apex of it as you crest.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. That is, to be honest, I have to agree with you. Leclerc struggling, and I reckon that's the third car I've seen sliding, almost full wheel sliding through towards turn 10. Out through turn 11 and 12, Leclerc snapping on the exit of turn 12. 13, 14, does the car look stable? Bit of a slide halfway through the corner at turn 14. This has not been a good lap from Leclerc. Is that possibly the second lap after a cooldown lap? There, you did hear Karun Chandhok there saying that right front looks a little bit nasty after 2 laps. Here, welcome in, Edward. But yeah, that right front tyre, it looked a bit nasty even after 2 laps. So I'm starting to get the feeling here that maybe, just maybe, the soft tyres aren't going to be used in this race. I'm good. Thank you, Edward. I'm good. As we take a look here at the Alpine of Pierre Gasly making his run through towards turn number 1, then up through towards turn number 2, using the ripple strip there just slightly, not using too much of it there. As yellow flag. Oh, well, no, that's Cadillac off the road. That's not what they need. That's Valtteri Bottas around. And correction, possibly turn 7, red flag. Now, if I can catch turn 11. So turn 11 has caught another driver out. Valtteri Bottas into the gravel. Turn 11. And by the way, we saw that car just sort of sliding. It looks as if the rear end just sort of snapped. Snapped on the exit of 10. And then on the approach to 11, it's fully spat itself out and into the gravel. Bottas out in FP3. I wouldn't say out, but there's not much of a chance that that car gets back out for the rest of this free practice session here into the gravel. He hasn't hit any of the barriers, but Cadillac fans, I'd be definitely worried, and you probably should have been worried from round 1, to be completely honest with you. Sideways, 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 sideways. Welcome in. Ackland, welcome in, my friend. Sideways, yeah, actually coming through turn 9. And then as he's approached turn 10, he's backed off. Oh, no, possibly a bit of battery saving. Second, 2 snaps. What? What? That car just didn't look right.
I lost my brake pedals. Scott, like the pedal Scott, got very lucky there. Yeah.
That was very strange. He had 2 snaps at the steering. Okay. So he did say he had 2 goes at the steering. So it obviously looked like he didn't have the front bite. Like the tyres were gone. And then now he's saying it's a brake thing. But I have a feeling he's had 2 snaps at the steering and he's lost the back end on exit. So it's either the brakes or it's the back end of that Cadillac. And Max at the moment is currently sitting P5 in this session. So P5 for the moment for Max. About 6/10 off the back of Russell and Antonelli. And a lot of people have been saying this, but this has got to be some sort of confidence booster coming into the weekend. He's got to find confidence, does George Russell. Here, definitely has to find some sort of confidence. We've got a red flag out here in the late part of this session, just over 20 minutes to go. But if you guys are all enjoying this stream, hit that like button, subscribe. Here, catch all the F1 streams if you are into F1, if you're into any sort of racing. I do try and stream as much racing stuff as possible. Yeah, red flag here, and it just did look like that car did of Valtteri Bottas. It just didn't seem like it had the rear end it wanted. Brakes, rear end, I'm not sure. Yeah, but it's very weird. Are you going to be live streaming qualifying? I won't be live streaming it live, but I will be streaming it. I will, yes. I will be. Confirmation there, 2025 poll was at 11.5. So yeah, my prediction was right. Yeah, so about 7/10 faster 2025 compared to 2024 and all 2023 there. So very interesting indeed. So Valtteri Bottas out in FP3, and you've got just over 2 hours as well. And I'm saying this like he's hit a barrier. He hasn't hit a barrier. So look, it's probably the best situation for Bottas to be in here. He's lucky he didn't hit a barrier. As saying on our timing, green flag. So that's weird because I don't think Bottas's car has been recovered. No, it hasn't. Its timing is still saying he's stuck down there at turn 11, but it is saying green flag. So very interesting indeed. Yeah, 116.2. I'm going to run you through the order here. So Russell at the moment leads just by 0.2 over Kimi Antonelli, and it's Lenonos on 116.6. Leclerc on a 116.6. Max 5th. Hamilton 6th. And Piastri 7th. Lindblad 8th. So 1 RB inside the top 10. Hagi 9th. Bortoletto sitting in 10th. Lawson in 11th. Sainz in 12th. Hulkenberg 13th. Behrman 14th. Colapinto 15th. 20 seconds to green light according to George Russell's radio. And that's just popped up now on race controls. Timing. So, not too far now from that green flag coming out. Here we will get a green light at the end of the pit lane in just moments' time. So we will see now the rest of this session unfold for some of these drivers. So green light ready, and track is green. We're back to a green light running here. He is doing good. I have to agree with you. Lindblad is doing very good, and I feel possibly he might be outperforming that RB a little bit. Sort of doing a Max Verstappen, but not doing a Max Verstappen. Quite interestingly here, as we look at Oscar Piastri, first car out on track. Possibly is that in the intention of doing a qualifying simulation? Is Piastri on new tyres? No, but he is on 3-lap old tyres. Is the Australian. We're just under 20 minutes to go left in this session. Now making his run up through towards turn number 10 is the Aussie. George Russell's also just exited the pit lane. The radio is absolutely lighting up at the moment. He was just over 19.5 minutes to go. 16.2 the time to beat. Interestingly, Nico Hülkenberg on that medium compound tyre. He's done about 12 laps on that. Same with Sergio Perez. So we're just under 20 or so minutes to go. Now get a good indication. Will there be new tyres thrown at the cars come the back end of the session? Or will we see drivers stay on the same set of these soft compound tyres here? You definitely wouldn't want to be wasting tyres heading into qualifying, as you heard there from Karun and Ted down in the pit lane. So, down to Ted Kravitz in the pit lane.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounded like, didn't it? Because he said pedal. The pedal is gone.
The pedal's gone. Or does he mean the pedal was still attached and it just went to the floor because there was no more brake pressure in the system?
Either or, I think it. I presume that's what they're trying to work out.
Yes.
They dropped him off, Ted. You wouldn't have seen this. They dropped off at the wrong end of the paddock.
Right.
So he was having to walk all the way back.
But the crucial thing from here is that we did have one of the men from the FIA actually just checking with everybody down here at Cadillac the same, so that he understood the situation. Now, of course, Mark Hines and Graham Loudon, they look after the racing. Mark Hines is the racing director here at Cadillac, and he knows his stuff. So does Graham Loudon. So does everybody in this team. This is actually the interesting. Team ready?
We'll come back to Monday with a service or something from it.
Yeah, we are looking into that still, Sergio. Nothing which should affect us.
That's the crucial.
Or will it? Or will it? yeah, for nothing that will affect us. I know as much as you, to be completely honest with you. I know just as much as you. As far as I know, Hadjar has not been given his trophy. Apparently, he was meant to turn up in some Louis Vuitton box. I know as much as everybody else out there right now. It was meant to turn up to Red Bull yesterday. It has not turned up to Red Bull. So, concerning. A little bit concerning. It was meant to turn up on Friday practice. It hasn't turned up at Friday practice. So, I think Red Bull is now starting to be like, can we have our trophy, please? Because it's rightfully ours. I think that's what Red Bull are starting to do now. As we look here at Isaac Hadjar. Off the front wing, there's Owasa, the reserve driver for Racing Bulls. Also watching on as well. Pierre got his podium back. No, he didn't. No, wait, Pierre? Yes. No, wait, Pierre. No, Pierre finished on the podium. I can't remember which where it went. Hadjar finished on the podium. Oh, sorry, it was Alpine. I do stand corrected. Whoops. I had that completely. I don't know where I got Hadjar. Yeah, I got that totally turned around. Whoopsies. But yeah, apparently it was meant to turn up at Alpine on yesterday. So I don't think it has yet. I don't think it has, which is it's probably a bit concerning, Lawson.
I clocked it. The dust is in my eyes every time I brake at the moment.
Copy understood.
Very interesting there from Liam Lawson. Just over 15 minutes to go as we take a look at the tractor, of which is Aston Martin making its run through towards turn number 3. Quite surprising that Fernando Alonso almost struggled that car inside the top 10. That's the end of the Monaco Grand Prix. Quite interesting indeed. Fernando, I don't even know how he struggled that car into the top 10. He was one of many drivers that didn't get a penalty. Which, knowing Aston Martin's luck, I'm surprised they didn't get a penalty, to be completely honest with you. Very surprised indeed. Very, very surprised. 15 minutes to go left in this session. George Russell leads out in front.
Well, they changed. Alpine broke the curfew last night, didn't they? To change, to give him a new chassis from his existing pool to Gasly for the rest of the weekend. So maybe it's a bit of shakedown on that, because Franco Colapinto, he has put a lap time on the board, and he has also done 7 laps, but he's up there in 15th at the moment. Ted?
I always have an answer for you. Every question. Actually, the very efficient Alpine press department have an answer for you. I can't claim this one. They've been listening to you, Karun and Harry, straight on the text. He's had some laps deleted. That's why. He did a 17.9, but went off at turn 13, got that lap deleted.
Well, there you go.
So that's why we're not seeing a lap time.
And if you go off there, you'll then get your following lap time deleted as well, I think.
So as well as everything else, we've got track limits to look out for in qualifying later.
Oh, fun.
My second favourite. Tyre chat and then track limits.
Bring back Melbourne, Ted, where we were all talking about batteries.
Yes, exactly. What happened to the Energy Star?
Bring back super clipping? Or...
What happened to super clipping?
I know. It's the first mention of it we've had.
Maybe the last.
Yeah.
Right. The Mercedes too, though, as the top 11 are all in the pits. They look like they are feeling good around here. And this time, though, it is Russell right now who has the advantage over 0.2 of a second over Antonelli. And this is what George Russell needs. He needs to be topping sessions. He needs to be carrying and restarting his season almost at this stage of the game.
I would very much agree with Harry there. He definitely does need to restart his season. He's got a 68-point margin to crawl back to Kimi Antonelli. So he's got a lot of race winning to do, and he's got a lot of Antonelli not finishing races, which by the last 4 rounds, it doesn't seem like that's happening at this point. I don't think it's going to get anywhere close to happening, to be completely honest with you. As we take a look at Nico Hülkenberg making his run up through towards turn number 1. 330 kilometres now on the approach, under brakes, and once more making his way through towards turn number 1. Most amount of laps. Yeah, it is a little bit quiet. I don't mind it, though. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I like quiet. But when people want to drain, they can drain. I don't mind. I don't mind. Hülkenberg making his run through towards turn number 5. Once more applying the power. Personal best through the first sector is the Audi. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I like a bit of peace and quiet every once in a while. You know? I do get those occasional streams, especially when I stream stuff live. I do get the occasional spurt of 8 or 9 people, which, it's cool. And then, you go to the next stream and you're like, oh, hello, 0 people. I actually quite enjoy it, actually. I quite enjoy it, to be completely honest with you. 11.5 minutes to go. George Russell leads out in front, 116.2. Hülkenberg now making his run through towards turn 14 and out the other sides. Hülkenberg up into 7th now, 116.961. And with the fastest third sector as well, that Audi. So very nicely done from Hülkenberg. Up into P7. George Russell now through the top part of the circuit. That is turn 5. Up through turn 6 and through turn 7. Max Verstappen at the moment, he's making his run through turn 1. He's on an outlap at the moment, so he's just come out of the pit lane. In terms of sectors, though, George Russell fastest first sector, Antonelli. Then, surprisingly, that Audi of Nico Hülkenberg. has the fastest third sector for the moment. But yeah, Max is currently up through towards turn 3, heading into turn 4. Just surprisingly now, the micro sectors have lit up for George Russell. Purple through the middle sector. Looking very quick at the moment for young George Russell. Not young, but for George Russell in himself here. And this might even improve on this 16.2 that we've just seen. A lot of track evolution throughout this session. It's gone half a second faster. 1:15.679 to go top of the session. And quite astonishingly, goes nearly a second faster. But here, look, Oscar Piastri improving through both sectors, and so is Lando Norris. But he's gone faster than anyone through the first sector. Papel through the first sector. So watch out for both McLarens, and this might be threatening for Antonelli to knock him off the top 2 steps here in FP3, and certainly does. Only 2/10 off the back of George Russell, 1:15.8. What does Lando Norris do as he makes his run through towards turn 12? Has he backed out of this lap? But no, he hasn't. But it was very, very didn't want to turn in more or less through towards turn 12, out through 13, and now back straight on the exit of 14. Norris only third, 1:15.9, and 300ths off the back of Oscar Piastri. It changes the sectors now. Norris fastest through the first sector, Russell fastest through the second sector, and Piastri fastest through the third sector. For the moment, Colapinto goes P13. Hamilton at the moment as well, up through the first sector. Personal best overall, so is improving. But this is a huge lap, actually, from this Ferrari. Can he get anywhere close to Leclerc? At the moment, he's 4/10 off, half a second off beating Leclerc overall. See what happens, though, as he now makes his run up through towards turn 10, 6/10 off the back at the moment. He's on par to beat Leclerc and to go 4th on my predictions here. So Hamilton now making his run out of turn 13, and now through towards turn 14, and nicely hitting the apex, getting the power down once more. What does Hamilton do? P4, about 7/10 off, 1:16.3. As now the rest of the field file their way through. Valtteri Bottas out of FP3, quite unfortunately. But a very big statement there from George Russell. This is Max Verstappen, fastest in personal best terms, and goes 5th, 1:16.4 for the Red Bull driver of Max Verstappen, and tops Kimi Antonelli. But I don't think it's done a quality sim. This would explain it. Deep and, well, traffic would explain every word of that, and it's the Aston Martin impeding Kimi Antonelli, and that might be a big factor.
Michael Stroll, as always. Copy that.
And impeding, possibly going in the notes for what has been an absolutely awful season for Aston Martin. It's about to get even worse. I just saw you say Piastri versus Kimi here. That might be questionable, but we'll see. We will see. It might be Russell versus Piastri at this point, and is that Kimi backing on? Yes, Kimi again has not been able to get a quality sim done. He's P6 at the moment. He hasn't been able to fire back at Russell in the late part of FP3. Stroll up into position 21. Kimi on the radio.
Oh my God, mate. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm gonna box. Okay, copy that, mate.
Wow. Okay, that's a little bit worrying. Well, it's not worrying now, but you're lucky it wasn't qualifying, Kimi. I wouldn't be upset yet. It wouldn't give you a real big, yes, it's actually 2 laps in a row, by the way. It wasn't 1 lap, it was 2 laps. So Kimi got balked by one of the Alpines, actually. I think it might have been Colapinto, up through towards turn 10. Kimi?
But why do I always get traffic? Like, I don't understand. Like, everyone always in the lap.
Oh, Kimi's fuming. It was one of the Alpines at turn 10, and then he's bolted that lap, and then he's gone for a second lap. Turn 1, one of the Aston Martins are in his way. 2 laps in a row, which, by the way, on tyre data at the moment, we only expect one good lap out of the soft compound tyres. He tried 2 and failed. And it was just by traffic. So that's concerning. That is concerning. Top 6 in the pit lane. Russell over Piastri. Nice. Hamilton, Verstappen, Kimi Antonelli, Leclerc, Hulkenberg. Both Audis inside the top 10. Lindblad sitting there in 9th. So Audi 8 and 10. Lawson just outside the 10. Hadjar, of course, just outside the 10. Currently sitting in position 12. We've got 5.5 minutes to go. We might see a few quali sims, ladies and gentlemen.
I had 4 cars into turn 1 in my first lap. 4 cars.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't release those cars out of the garage, mate. So they need what they want to leave.
So,
Peter Bonington there trying to calm Kimi Antonelli down. You are probably correct in that statement. They are probably not all pushing at their maximum. Leclerc now up into 3rd. So this it won't be a nice feeling actually for Kimi Antonelli to know at the end of his qualifying simulation run he's got balked both times. Again, as you said, it is FP3. They're not pushing. It's not qualifying. Qualifying is less than 4 hours away. So they're not all pushing. Yet. I say that, yet. And Kimi Antonelli. Oh my God! Investigation after the session. Antonelli turn 2 driving erratically. What? What do you mean? Driving erratically? Wow. Turn 4 driving erratically. Why? Okay, that's interesting. This is Isaac Hadjar. Deep in towards, that was turn 7 and turn 8. Hadjar.
How to flip this chase this? Like, what was that? I never in my life I had this, but anyway.
Oh, I love the good old Hadjar complaint. Oh, I love it. I heard a lot of it in Monaco, and I'm hearing a lot of it here in Spain. But again, the temperatures probably playing a big factor in this session. Low speed corners, currently looking at the moment like it's Hamilton through the low speed corners. That is just sort of gaining the edge over Russell, Leclerc, Norris, and Piastri, the top 5. This is Hamilton. Starting now a flying lap at the end of FP3. This is where we now start to see a bit of a qualifying simulation. And this is Kimi Antonelli's second shot at this. If, of course, he goes out on new tyres. If he doesn't go out on new tyres, then he probably won't do a quali sim. Now through towards turn 1. Hamilton. Can he keep the car stable? Yes, he can. So far, so good. One of the Audis there getting out of the way. Now up through towards turn number 3. Keep the car straight as possible. Now, breaking a straight line. Turn 4. Yellow flag. Out. And is that possibly just for a slow car? Sector 1, there's a yellow flag. A car off. Hamilton, I think, had to back out slightly, but there is a yellow flag, I think. No, there isn't. It was... my timings are glitching for some reason. There was a yellow flag that was out for a few moments. It's gone away now. So yeah, my timing was glitching for some reason. It was weird. It was very weird. I don't know what happened there. Apologies for that. But yeah, Hamilton not improving through the first sector, nor is he improving through the second sector. And again, just what Karun Chandok has been saying throughout this whole session. Yeah, they are. They're definitely hiding their full pace here. And again, we might see a bit of track evolution. We do have F2 coming up. They will lay a bit of rubber down. Maybe the track temperature might drop a little bit, maybe a degree or 2. That can play a big factor. Maybe even just a degree or 2 can play a big factor as well. We do have F2 coming up for their sprint race in just over about an hour's time. So a bit of rubber will be laid down there. A bit of track evolution. We'll see. And of course, the drivers will probably turn up in terms of their power usage, fresh, soft tyres, F2 rubber down. We'll see. Mercedes sandbagging as always. Yep, always. Colapinto and Bortoleto, turn 10 incident involving, Colapinto and Bortoleto has been noted and might be investigated after the session, actually. Just over a minute to go. Mercedes sandbagging as always. This might not be their true pace. They might go 2 seconds faster than everyone come qualifying. Okay? We don't know yet. But you never know. You never know. They might go 2 seconds faster. They might go 4 seconds slower. Never know. You never know. You flipping never know in Formula One. Alpine now. This is Pierre Gasly. I'm a bit of a McLaren supporter, so I wouldn't mind seeing McLaren up there. Turn 10 incident. No further investigation between Colapinto and Bortoleto. There. That was at turn 10. I'm guessing he was impeding, possibly. No further investigation going on there. Gasly. Hadjar as well, making his run through towards turn 13, up through 14, and in towards now the final corner, making his run towards the line. What does Isaac Hadjar do? Up into position 8, 116.684. There goes the Red Bull driver. Very nicely done. As the checkered flag drops, and no qualifying simulations, really. I would say it's a de-confidence, a bit of loss of confidence for Kimi Antonelli. But we've said it all season. Does Kimi Antonelli ever lose confidence? Does he ever lose that what's the word? I can't think of the word. But loss of confidence. I'm going to say no. Without that quali sim, I'm going to say no. And again, a lot of drivers didn't do a quali sim, so I suppose we'll see. And there's a lot of rumours going in the air at the moment. I'm supporting Red Bull and Ferrari, yeah. I reckon look, that's a good way of putting it. I have to agree with you. Good way of putting it. Ferrari, a little bit questionable. And still, at the end of FP3, Hamilton sits half a second off Leclerc. Yikes. Russell, though, overall, 5 tenths quicker than Leclerc. 4.5 tenths quicker. 4.5 tenths quicker in the sectors. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. But yeah, we'll see what happens in qualifying. We might see maybe a bit of wind pickup. Maybe the track temperature might drop. They will definitely rubber go down from F2. So, we'll see. And the track will grip up quite a lot between now and qualifying. So we will see for all of the drivers. Russell's crossed the line. Piastri's crossed the line. Leclerc, everybody's crossed the line now. So FP3 comes to a close. And in the end, it's Russell over Piastri, Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, Verstappen, Antonelli, Hadjar, Hulkenberg, Lindblad, Bortoleto, Lawson, Gasly, Colapinto, Sainz, Ocon, Behrman, Albon, Perez, Alonso, Bottas, and Stroll. And that was just before the graphic closed. Wow, I'm so good. Look, if anything's to go by from last year, Max will definitely want to make a comeback. There's no doubt about it. He will definitely want to try and make a comeback coming into the rest of the season. He's got. So there's only a 22-round season, so like 14 rounds to go to make a comeback. We'll see. You never know. And you never know us either. Like, summer break is coming up, like, in 6 rounds' time, I think. I might stand corrected, but summer break, there's another chance for the drivers to for upgrades on the cars. Teams. Oh, that was close. And the contact there with one of the Williams and the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton as they try to get into grid formation for a practice start. But you never know. We might see another penalty fest as well. Again, all these questions are up in the air. You'll have to wait till Grand Prix Sunday. You'll have to wait. Thank you, Ackland. Thank you so much for joining, along with RN. Again, apologies for butchering these names. I'm not good at pronouncing names. I'm not good at pronouncing them. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it at all. There is George Russell, the man who has topped FP3, and definitely a confidence booster for Mr. George Russell. Topped FP1, now tops FP3. Quite critically, though, didn't top the 2 important sessions of FP2 and FP3. We'll see. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ackland. Hope to see you back soon. But thank you for joining. Thank you for showing support. And thank you for hitting that like button as well. Very much appreciated, my friend. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. So FP3 has officially come to a close. And Super Saturday for me at the moment. Super Saturday continues here this afternoon. It's here tonight. George Russell, Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc. That rounds out Super Saturday though. Lando Norris. Then it is Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Kimi Antonelli, Isaac Hatcher, Nico Hulkenberg, and Arvid Lindblad in position 10. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the love. And on your way out, hit the subscribe button. Even if you don't watch me ever again in your life, it's support. It helps. It very much helps. Arvid Lindblad though, rounding out your top 10. Just outside the top 10, Bortoleto, Lawson, Gasly, Colapinto, Sainz, Ocon, Behrman, Albon, Perez, and Alonso in position 20. They're rounding out your top 20 for FP3, and of course the remaining 2 cars, of which is Valtteri Bottas and Lance Stroll as well. So that rounds out Super Saturday. But if you were to catch me again tomorrow, you've got plenty of chance to do so. Now, qualifying will be a bit out of skew. I will not be doing it live. This is the only session throughout the weekend, actually, that I will be catching live. So if you would like to catch me again, plenty of other chances. F2 sprint race coming up tomorrow morning, 8:45. Formula 1 qualifying from 10:05. GT World Challenge Australia as well, 11:15. And rounding out the day with Porsche Sprint Challenge race number 3. So plenty to come, plenty to see. And thank you to all those people that have joined the stream, showing support throughout the about an hour and 20 minutes that was live throughout the day. But of course, that wraps up Super Saturday. We'll be back for Super Sunday, kicking off F2, followed by F1 qualifying. Catch you guys then. And thank you for the support. Bye-bye.